This is Fraud to Fearless.
Friends, you are made for more purpose, more confidence, more impact. Because when you live fearless, you inspire others to do the same.
Let's go!
Hey y'all, this series is going to be really exciting because so many of us spend so much of our lives working. And Brooke, work shouldn't suck. But that's the name of the series. We are going to talk about why work really shouldn't suck, but for a lot of us,
It
it does.
It seriously does. It can. And it's hard when it does.
Yeah, it's a trap. I mean, in a previous series we talked about we showed a view of how to visualize your life. And we had the 1 to 90 circles, and each circle represented a year. And a good majority of us are going to spend 40, 50, 60 years potentially working, and going to spend a significant chunk of those years in our life working. So what if you hate it? What if work sucks? What if you say, I go to work, I hate it, I don't like who I work with, I hate my boss, I don't like my coworkers, and I either go to the office and I'm scrolling nonstop on social media, or I bought one of those things that wiggles the mouse so that I can stay. Seriously, Brooke, people buy them.
Things exist.
Yeah, Wells Fargo fired employees because they were doing it. They proved that they were not actually working, but they moved the mouse back and forth all day for 8 hours at a time because they wanted to appear green, but they didn't do any work. And so
We got to save ourselves. If you're in this position, we've got to make a change. Your life is so much better than the wiggling mouse machine, whatever that is.
You can literally buy these on Amazon. So anyway, but I think
we're not endorsing. We
are not endorsing. No, find a job that you're, spending your days productively. You're, maximizing your potential. You're doing something you're passionate about. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to feel like we're stuck in a grind. That's not living now. That's not, spending your life wisely. That is feeling stuck, feeling like you're not the captain of your ship. You're just being told by others what to do. Brooke, but the hard thing is everyone is going to feel this. I don't care if you have the best job in the world. We're all going to go through cycles where work it shouldn't suck, but it does. And it feels like a grind. And it's a really hard dynamic to navigate.
Yeah, Hayden, this has been really cool because we've wanted to do some research on this of what are actually the most common causes of feeling like this dread of, I got to get up Monday morning and go. Because I think there's a few different topics here. So we're curious, for you, is it that you aren't feeling engaged, like you don't have a job that is important or impactful enough? Like, is that the reason why you're not feeling fulfillment, basically? Or is it, like Hayden said, my boss is really hard to work with, or these are just not my people? We have a whole list of different examples of why. What are the root causes of these issues that we all experience and run into at work? And can we actually make a difference? Can we actually change that if we're experiencing those really hard things?
Yeah. Brooke, I know we both had jobs that have sucked. So at some point, I want to hear your experience of door-to-door sales, because I imagine for those of you that have done that, unless you were just born to sell, it probably sucked. But a quick story so in season 1, I talked through my background and my experience and stuff. And after my senior year of college, which I studied accounting, I went to the master's program and I interned at Honeywell. And I remember coming back and my same classmates that I did the accounting undergrad with, they all went and did their internships with Deloitte and PwC and the big four firms and the big accounting firms. And I went to Honeywell. And I remember like this aha moment, Brooke, that I was like, I know I made the right decision because I came back and we all talked about like, what work did you do? And my work was impactful. It was huge. Halfway through the internship, I flew to headquarters and I was on a project team that presented to the HR council on a project that they assigned us. And it was
Big stuff.
meaningful. It was passion. Like I felt like I grew so much in my 12-week internship. And I remember talking to all of my accounting peers, and this is almost what they all said. They said something similar to the following. Well, Hayden, the work sucked, but the people were really cool. And I was like, I am so glad I made that transition. Now, I think the hard thing, Brooke, that we can just kind of set the stage, that doesn't mean that working in finance or accounting or working for the big four firms sucks all the time. No, that's not at all what we're saying. There's going to be periods of every job that suck. And I also think there's something here, Brooke, that you kind of have to pay your dues. Early on in your career, you need to learn how to do some of this work. And so some of the tasks that generally you're assigned to do can be a little bit more tactical, can be a little less passion driving, right? Because you're learning the blocking and tackling of the fundamentals of how to be an employee. But tell us, Brooke, about your door-to-door sales experience, because for those of you listening that have done it before, I imagine you're going to relate so hard with Brooke. And for those of you that have never done it, buckle up.
No, Hayden, thanks. That was a great handover. But I have to comment on one thing because I think you're right. It's not necessarily about the job, like, ooh, this HR versus finance or operations versus, innovation, whatever it is. And this may totally depend on what your skill sets are, what your passions are. But I think it's really easy to idolize other jobs and think that the grass is always greener. And I think that we were talking about this offline, but I had a family dinner, I don't know, maybe like a month ago now. And we're all talking. We have a variety of different work experience in my family. Some are entrepreneurs, some work in the education system, some government work. There's like, we're all diverse. And so it's really interesting because somehow we got on this topic joking around of like, whose job is the worst? Like, whether it's benefit wise or like this kind of thing. And we talked about some of the benefits too, but it's funny because a lot of times we think, man, if I could just get out of corporate America and start our own business. But guess what? There's really hard things that happen in entrepreneurship. Or we think, man, it would just be so great to have like amazing benefits you cannot beat. Or if you're a teacher, you get summers off. Like there's all these trade-offs. So let's not be disillusioned with the grass is greener, but let's also recognize what the issues are and the problems with each of them. So door-to-door sales.
Yeah.
This was a job that I was excited for. I've had experience in sales growing up, and also I served as a missionary. We had to knock so many doors. I'm like, I've had experience in sales. I've knocked a ton of doors. Like, I'm not afraid of this. It's going to be great.
Brooke
So,
is probably like the quintessential door-to-door salesperson. Like if you have a business with door-to-door sales, like you should look at Brooke's background, like college athlete, missionary. Brooke was born to be one of those people that like if I did door-to-door sales, I'd be like, oh, like what results can I get to be done as soon as possible? I want this day to be done. I want to be done in 4 hours. And Brooke is like, I am going to set a new record for the most sales by a door-to-door salesperson ever. It is so impressive. So
Oh
Brooke,
my goodness.
going into this,
Ugh.
like I imagine you were just like ready to set new heights.
Before we jump back in, if you're like me, fear shows up in your life way more than you want to admit. If these fears are holding you back, listen closely. A program called Crushing Fear. It's created specifically for women in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who want clarity, courage, and spiritual grounding. They want to move past fear and do it with God. So Sarah goes through 4 kinds of fear. I've been going through the program. You guys, there are so many meaningful bonuses. The value is insane. This is the best part. The program is normally $394, but you listening get it for $167 when you use the code FEARLESS through our link. That link is in the show notes. It won't work anywhere else. If you feel something inside of you saying, I'm ready to be done with this fear in my life, I'm ready to start moving, this is a beautiful place to start. Trust that feeling. Let's go. Now back to the episode. I was pumped. I was driven. I was like, I got this. And I was very motivated because I heard how much cash you could make doing door-to-door sales. And it was the summer before we started our grad program. So Hayden, I had probably only spoken with you like once, at our interview or something. But I was like, I'm going to make a ton of cash. I'm going to pay off my student loans. It's going to be great. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. And so I show up. I'm in North Carolina. And
Woo.
yep, first day on the doors. And we're doing pretty good. And let me tell you, like, not only is there a learning curve, I think this happens in every single job. At least it's happened for me in every single job where you get pumped, you're excited. The first day you sit down, or within the first 1 to 3 days, this question comes to my mind. It's like, what did I just do? What did I
Hmm.
literally just do? What did I sign up for? Like, I'm in this now, and there's no escaping it. Just this dread. There was definitely a learning curve, but I think with the door-to-door sales was a different level because it was definitely a mental game. It was like, if you don't sell, you don't eat. And every failure you have to battle in your mind to say, this is not evidence of my future success or like who I am. It's like a constant mental battle of like, you have to push through this rejection. So I remember, Hayden, waking up in the mornings. Like at night, I would stay up super late and watch whatever episodes forever because I was like, I don't want to go to sleep because
Mm-hmm.
then when I wake up, I'm going to have to go do this door to door thing. And then when I'd wake up, I'd just cry. Like I'd have moments in the
No.
shower that I'm just crying. I'm like, okay. And I'd have to blast the happiest music in the car and pump myself up. It was hard. It was so hard. And it's like, do I quit? Do I keep going? I stuck it out for the rest of the summer. But man, I wouldn't go back and do that job ever again. At least selling pest control.
Do you feel like there was any key, like positive learnings, or like how did that shape how you think about work shouldn't suck, but
Yeah. So I'm an eternal optimist, and that can be good and bad because I'll get into situations and I'm like, oh, it's fine. Well, like, just stick with it. Just stick with it. It's going to shape me. Like, it's going to be good. And that's true. I believe that every experience helps us and can be a stepping stone in the right direction if we let it. But I think there comes a point when it's delusional and it's like, this is not worth, look at the cost of staying in this job and what it's doing either to your mental health or your physical health or, whatever it is that you're going through. And so when knowing the difference between those things is key, definitely it helped me understand, look, I have skill sets in selling and being able to connect with people. But if I don't believe in the product or I'm having issues with this person, like, they need pest control, but they should not be paying for pest control because they just told me that they're barely getting by. Like, here are my limits. So if I understand these things about myself, let's find a job that actually aligns better in those ways. So it gave me a lot of perspective on, for me, what I need in my job.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful because, Brooke, one thing I've been reflecting and kind of meditating on is, and like parenting really helps you feel this, but work helps you feel this, relationships help you feel this, being a parent helps you feel this. But I really love this idea of peaks and valleys. And whether you're in a workout, whether you're in a relationship and there's a hard time, whether you're in a job that really sucks right now, peaks and valleys. There's going to be really high moments of everything in life, and there's going to be really low times where you need to really start climbing and the incline's high. And I think, Brooke, I don't think I've told you this yet, but I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, you know what? Like, Brooke and I have big hopes and ambitions for what Fraud to Fearless is going to be, what the podcast is going to be, even more so than the pod. Once Brooke and I really started clicking in grad school, we always knew we were going to start a business together. This 8 months has been so much fun and we're having a blast. But this is just the beginning. But we have big hopes. But let's say all of our hopes don't come true. Let's say worst case scenario happens and Brooke and I, we recorded some conversations with some guests and made it forever last on some digital tools. I had a great time. It's been a pleasure. Like, even if the worst thing happens, you know what? I
We
am
lose
so
it
proud
all.
of what we've done. And it's been just so much fun. Like, doing this with you. Like, I had that thought pop into my head that it's like, that's when you know that it's like, sometimes working on the pod sucks. Like, not a lot because I love doing this, but sometimes it's hard. Sometimes like editing and spending all nighters, like making how many logo decisions that we've made, Brooke, but like
Oh.
peaks and valleys. And I just think that what was really cool about your door-to-door sales experience is you recognized there's what I'm getting as an employee in this experience, and then there's the job. And those are two different things. Even if the job absolutely sucks, meaning you hate it, you hate going to work, you cry in the shower in the mornings, you watch all the Netflix shows at night and don't sleep because that will delay. Somehow the logic in our mind is like,
No,
that's going to delay work
I know. Is that
the
only
next
me?
day.
But
I think I used to do that in Hell Week for football when it was, like the two-a-days. I would like, as long as I just watch Netflix and stay up, then like
self
the next
sabotage.
practice. Yeah. Um, but I just love how you separated those two things and you said, hey, I have skills in sales. I'm learning. I just don't necessarily think this is the best place or the best role or the best company for me to apply the skills that I learned that I had because of this experience. And I think that's a super powerful takeaway.
Oh. So I guess taking all this information, like, where do we go from here? Because we talk a lot about first identifying something, right? We have to identify. And maybe it's a scale. Maybe you're like, oh, no, I'm not crying in the shower every day, or I'm not self sabotaging and like binging Netflix all night. But maybe there's part of you that kind of dreads, or you're like, I'm living for the weekend. Like, maybe you don't have to tell us, but maybe you were one of those people that bought the little mover mouse clicker, like, no shade, no shame.
We won't
It's
tell
all
your
right.
boss.
Yeah. So, like, where do we go from here? What are steps that we can actually take to help us? And so I'm curious your thoughts, Hayden, and I'll bring up another topic. Or if you have anything first, you go, and then I'll lead in.
Yeah. I think the metaphor that I want to share is um my wife and I got married November 2019, and then 4 months later, COVID shut the world down. So thank God that we married right because we went from being long distance dating to being in a 750 square foot apartment, unable to go outside and like literally prep for wartime, like we were going paintballing every time we went and bought groceries. So it was a really interesting first couple years of marriage. But there was a moment where we hit a slump. Like there was only so many times you can watch the documentary Psalm on Hulu. Um, but what we ended up doing to break out of the funk is we made a gratitude wall, and we literally got post-it notes, and anytime we were grateful for something, we wrote it on a post-it note and made a gratitude wall. And now in marriage, we get less quality time naturally because we have a 13-pound CEO of our lives that controls our schedule. And so every night before we go to bed, we literally have a shared notes page, and we type the date, we type sub bullet H, sub bullet A, and we each list the things that we're grateful for with an emphasis on each other. That same thing can apply to work. Like if you let's say you're doing door-to-door sales and selling pest control and you hate it. It's 100 degrees and humid. You're dealing with literally the pests. There's got to be at least something that's good. There's got to be one thing that you can find. The thing is that, Brooke, like hope, gratitude, courage, love, these things are all contagious. If you are that person, if you show those things, it will impact the people around you, and it will encourage you to find them more often. If you're only looking for the negative, that's all you're going to find. If you try your best to look for the positive, you'll find one thing, and then you'll start to notice that thing again and again and again. And so I think that's a big tip for me, Brooke, is when I'm in the slump or when I feel like work sucks, look, every job I've ever been in, I would say at some point work sucks, right? I really wanted to work at Starbucks. Oh, Starbucks sucks. I really wanted to work at the bank. Oh, Wells Fargo sucks. I really wanted to work at the university. University sucks. I want to work Fortune 100. Fortune 100 sucks. It doesn't really suck. There's just cycles and there's moments, peaks and valleys. And so try your best to find the gratitude, the hope. How are you benefiting from this experience, and how is it making you a better person and a better employee? I think that's a huge cheat code.
Hayden, so good. It's so true. It's like, and it reminds me of what I learned from Tony Robbins when I went to go hear him speak. He had us do this exercise where we literally he'd say, your emotions and like your feelings, they can change your life. And so he'd have us stand up and he's like, I want you to turn to find somebody in this room and treat them as if they're your best friend that you haven't seen in decades. Like, what kind of excitement, what kind of thing. And we literally like were jumping up and down to these random people, and you could feel it. It immediately changed. It changes your brain. And so I remember in my first few weeks of going back to work after my daughter was born, and I was so sad. I was just like, I can't, like, how can I leave her? This is so horrible. And I would just blast this happy song. And the song that's coming into my head right now is like, Good Day. I don't know if you've heard that song. I'm about to have a good day. You just like, even if you're crying and you're like, no, I can't do this. Or I had for door-to-door sales, I had a little sticky note and I had 4 affirmations. That was
Hmm.
like, I am a gift to this world. The world is on my side. Everything's working out for my good. I am strong. Like I just had these affirmations that I would read over and over and over again, even though sometimes you're like, I don't know if I believe this, but you shout it and it really does change. So thank you for that reminder, because it's true. It works. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you're grumpy, it actually works.
Yeah,
So.
that's a powerful story.
So I think here's a tactical tool that you can do today if you are feeling like you're in the grind, work super sucks, and you don't know what to do. We've named a couple, but just to lay it out super clean and simple. In Richie Norton's book, Anti-Time Management, he kind of
Yeah.
gives this template or activity to go through and take an inventory of your life, but you can do this for your work. So you write down every single thing that you do in your job. All of the good things, even like the meaningless tasks, the meaningful and meaningless tasks. Write them all down. Now, go through and circle all of the things that you love doing. Maybe there's a bunch, maybe there's only two. Circle those. And then next to the ones that you absolutely hate or dread doing, put a little triangle next to those. And maybe there's some in between that aren't circled or and don't have a triangle. Look through that list and say, okay, for the things that I'm dreading or the things that are so hard, is it in my power to be able to change those things? Can I do something about it? Can I delegate it to somebody else? Can I talk to my boss about it and switch something? Or do I have no control? And depending on your answer, you know exactly where to start. If you have no control, then what are your options? You either say, okay, it is what it is and accept it and let go, or you can go and find a different job. And if there are things in your power, what's one small thing that you can do today to help you get through that and work towards changing it or seeing it from a different perspective?
Yeah, super helpful. I love it. So it's, look for what you're grateful for. Every role, there's something that you're benefiting from doing that job. If you're doing an activity for 8 hours a day, there's at least one thing. You might have to look hard, but there is at least one thing that, you are getting from that experience. And think beyond paycheck. Besides a paycheck, what is one thing that you're benefiting? Try to look for the gratitude. Again, gratitude, love, hope. It's all contagious. Two, literally write down your activities. Circle what you love, put triangles around what you don't love, right? And then how can you influence? Talk to your manager, maybe volunteer for a side project, or, like, hey, this team is doing work that I like. Is there any opportunities I can do 1 to 2 hours a week, in this area and do more of a side gig? Three, I think, Brooke, is always know your worth. I really love, we see these lucrative contracts from professional sports, and it's like some baseball player signs a 10-year, $400 million deal, and we can all dream about that kind of money. But generally, what happens, which is so, so cool, you don't see it in any other industry. Generally, when stuff like that happens, the reaction from the other athletes is love. Good for you. Yeah, you're worth every penny, because that contract has just reset the market for everybody else, right? And whereas we don't tell people what other people make, because it would be like, oh, then I need this and I need that. And instead of being happy for each other that eventually you're going to get yours, but always know your worth and know it's kind of like thinking about assets in like this is the accounting side of me talking, but from liquidity. Is your skill set liquid, meaning you could very easily get another job? Or is it not very liquid, where you do something, it would be hard for you to get another job? Be real with yourself and know that, so that you can know how quickly you can pivot if you absolutely hate what you're doing and the other templates that we gave you aren't working. And then I think last thing, Brooke, is going back to my accounting peers, that their answer was the work sucked, but at least the people were cool. That could be an answer. That could be someone's experience, that it's like, you know what? I don't really like my work, but I love who I do it with. And I've got awesome relationships, and we hang out after work, and we're in each other's weddings, and like our kids grow up together. That could be something that you get from this experience. So have an ally. If you don't have community at work, then it's just, Brooke, sometimes when work is sucked, it impacts my entire life. I'm a different husband, I'm a different friend, I'm a different dad. And so I think having an ally that can help pick me up when I'm down, like lean on me, right? When you're not strong, having that ally and community, I think, is another big template and cheat code that can help us navigate when work sucks sometimes.
Love it, Hayden. This is so good. You guys, if you have stories or experiences We'd love to highlight that. Tell us about a time that work really sucked. How did you get through it? We'd love to highlight your story on the pod. And as always, just reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn at Fraud to Fearless. So grateful that you guys are here with us. We love you. And that's the pod.